Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this card. So this is basically based on the one that I did in the live on Tuesday. So this card here, so it's very similar except for this is made out of two tent cards put sideways, and this one is not. This is actually made out of so you haven't got any join here. That is literally just one piece. So I thought I'd have a go, and I've done, this is going to be the I was going to try and do the landscape and the portrait all in the same video, but actually I think that I'm going to do them separately, because yeah, it just took a bit long, otherwise it's going to be a very long video. So that's what it looks like from the front. You've got space on the back there to write, and it folds flat for posting, so you just fold it flat like that. The dies that I use, I do mention in the video, so I'll leave that to when we get into the video, kind of instead of repeating myself. But yeah, it's really quite a nice card. It you'll see that I have troubles in the video making it. It does sort of flop forward a little bit, but I think that's just because I need to put some struts on here, and you can rectify it quite easily, which I talk about in the video. So yeah, so that's the video we're going to do today. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start by making the portrait one first, and then I'll show you how I did the landscape one with the extra panels in it. Okay, so for the portrait one, it's slightly different to what we did with the live. So when I did the live stream, I actually made two tent cards. But with this this version, you don't actually make two. You have two pieces of card, but you don't make two cards. It's done slightly differently, and it enables you then to make a bigger aperture in the middle. And it's just slightly different as well. And it also means you don't have to have tabs if you don't want. You can have it free floating. You'll see anyway. So you're going to need two pieces. These are both double-sided. Two pieces that are 5 inches by 11.5 inches. So I've done this, it's both double-sided. I would advise that you do that if you want it simple. I would also advise that you go for a pattern that doesn't have a right way up. In the next version, when I do the landscape version, we will be using a right way up pattern, but only for the pattern panels that I'm adding on. I haven't done right way up for the actual base as such. And then I've just done a die cut as well, which I'm going to use on the front. And this is one of the Coca Rosa Studio dies. This is one of them here. If you use the code ICED15, you'll see it on the screen now, you get 15% off your order. So go over there and check that out. So that's that. So yeah, so what I've done is I've actually die cut this out of glitter card, and then I've backed it with 2 other layers of the same, like more card, just to give it a bit of strength. I needed it to be quite sturdy. You could also put acetate underneath it if you want to. I did toy with that idea, but I thought I'd just go with the card. So what we're going to do then, I'm going to move that to one side, and I've obviously got my little Christmas greetings sentiment. So we're going to start by scoring these two. Now, in the same way as in my live for the sideways tenfold card, I also, with that one, I actually worked out which way round, you know, how it was going to go. With this, obviously, because it's going to be landscape, not landscape, it's going to be portrait. So if you've got a right way up pattern, you would need to kind of reverse the scoring like I did. Okay, so you'll see what I mean when you come to do it. Just test it out on a piece of paper. You know, use a bit of scrap card first. It has a right way up pattern, and you'll see what I mean. So anyway, so we're going to score on here. So the first one we're going to score at 3.5 inches, at 7 inches, at 9 inches, and at 11 inches. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with this one. So we're going to score at 3.5 inches, at 7 inches, at 9 inches, and at 11 inches. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our card blank. The first fold, which is your 3.5 inches, is going to be a valley fold, so slightly different from what we did with the other way. And then you're going to need a mountain fold. And then you need a valley fold. And then you need a mountain fold. So you're basically concertina in this one. So you should end up with that. Okay. And you're going to do the same with this one. Okay, so you should end up with two pieces that look like that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get one of your pieces and you're just going to turn it round that way actually, so it's like that. Okay, this is why you need to watch if you have a right way up pattern. This is why you need to watch out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do what we did before, and we're going to add tape on here and tape on here, but we're not going to stick it how we stuck it in the live. So just don't rush ahead. I know I have people in my craft class who rush ahead. Don't rush ahead, because you will just end up making the same card we made in the live on Tuesday. So I'm going to go ahead now and add tape on these tabs. Okay, so once you've done that, what you want to do before we start sticking things together, the front of my card is this holly design, and the stars are going to be what's inside. And obviously it's going to be that way up like that. But what I'm going to do is I want to cut an aperture out. Now, you can, if you want, use a die, which is what I did for I had like a sample card, and that's what I did. I used an aperture die. But I'm going to do it as if you haven't got a die, okay? And it really is up to you what you do with your aperture, how big you make it, whether you want it square, oval, diamond, I don't know, whatever, however you want it. I'm going to do mine rectangular like I did before. And I'm going to make it pretty much the same size as this die cut. So I'm going to make it 4 inches by 5.5. Okay, 4 inches by 5.5. So 4 inches wide, 5.5 long. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold this in half along that big, so you've got your 3.5 line here. Fold it along your 3.5 line. And then with a pencil, I'm going to make a mark in 3/4 inch instead. So I'm going to come in 3/4 inch here. And I'm going to come in 3/4 inch here. And then what I'm going to do is measure down, and we said, what did we say, 5 inches, 5.5 inches? I can't remember what we said now. 5, just short of 5.5, yeah, so 5.5, so I'm going to make it 5.25. So half of 5.25 is like 2 5/8, about that. So I'm going to measure down 2 5/8 to here. Make a little mark there, 2 5/8 down here, make a little mark there, and then we just need to cut that out. So we need to cut down there, along there, and up there, and just cut that whole section out. Okay, so I've just drawn a line in so I can actually see where I'm cutting. So I'm now going to go ahead and just cut along these lines using my Stanley knife and a metal rule. As I say, if you've got a die that does this, you can just literally lay the whole thing flat, put your die on and cut it out. But I thought I'd do, you know, just let you know, those of you who don't have die cutting machines, how you can do it as well. Okay, so I've actually cut obviously both layers together like that. So you've got like a little card almost. You can use that or whatever you want to use that for. So then you end up with that. So that's what you should end up with. And you're only doing it on one piece, not on both, okay? This is going to be the front of your card. So now what we're going to do is we're ready now to assemble. So what I would do is just fold up, concertina up all of this, turn it round so that your inside is showing, and then take your other piece, and this is going to stick on the top along like that. So you're going to have, if I turn it sideways like that, your little tent bit, your little corner mounting thing is at one end, and the other corner mounting thing is up the other end. So you're going to stick the two together. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off, and then this is going to go on here, making sure the stars are facing each other and making sure that the holly is on the outside. That's better. There we go. Right, so you should end up with that. Okay, so now we're going to do the same again, but on this side. So we're just going to fold this mounting up like that, peel this backing off here, and then fold this down, making sure that's concertina down, and just fold this, making sure that doesn't do that, just fold this down flat. And you need to make sure when you're choosing what size aperture to do, that you don't do something where you're going to see this tab popping up here. So you've got a 1/2 inch tab there, so just make sure that this bit here is not any more than 1/2 inch. Okay, so at the moment then you've got that, which is basically, I mean, that's in a card in itself. So you can have that if you want. If you wanted to, you could just not fold the back and not fold the front. Just have it as a 7-inch panel. And then you've got kind of like a shadow box type thing, which folds flat. So that's another option, another version of a card. But anyway, so we've gone for this one. So now what we're going to do is we need to add in the little tabs which connect this front bit to the back bit there. Okay, so what I would do is use exactly the same card as you've used for the back, and then that way you're not going to see it so much. Okay, so I've cut myself 4 little tabs, and they're literally 1/2 inch by 1 inch. They're really not very much. All of these tabs we are going to score in half at 1/2 inch. So we're just going to score them all at 1/2 inch. Okay, so I've got my 4 little tabs. I've scored them halfway at 1/2 inch. And now on the, you want to make sure that where your pattern is, so this is actually the star pattern, as you can see. So where the star pattern is, that's going to be on the inside of your tab. So you want to make sure when you fold them in half, you fold them like that. So that's like the holly bit, which is the outside. So what I'm going to do first though is I'm just going to go ahead and put red tape on the back of all the tabs. You can use glue as well if you want to. I'm going to go for red tape, I think, just because I am. Okay, so I've got my little tabs and they're all covered in tape. So now I'm just going to give them a fold in half. Let's fold them all up. And then we're going to start sticking them into place. So, to bring this one back in again. So if you take the first one, I'm just going to peel off the backing halfway. Just going to peel it off as far as the fold. So there's the fold, that's the fold line. And that is going to go in here, and you're going to line that fold line up with this middle fold line here on the back. Okay, it's a bit tricky. You could do it beforehand if you wanted to. I'm just going to get right in there and get it on. So like that. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, little tab there. And then you're going to put another one on the other side. So facing the other way, so the folded edge is now on the right hand side, not the left. And again, I'm just going to stick that on the other side. Just going to move it out of the way for a second. So I'm going to stick it down and then I'll show you what I've done. And as a guide, I use the top of the card as my guide. Okay, so hopefully you can see, you've got 2 little wings. 2 little wings. So you can do the same again at the bottom here. So you should end up with a little set of wings at the bottom there and a little set of wings at the top. Okay, all you're going to do now is take the backing off. You can do it one at a time if you want, or you can do it both at the same time. I'm going to do mine one at a time, I think. And then you're just going to very carefully fold this whole thing flat onto it so it sticks. So you end up with that. Okay, I'm going to do the bottom one now. Okay, so you end up with that. So can you see how we're now connected? Okay, this is actually a 200 GSM card, but it's coming out a lot sort of thinner than my other one. And as you can see, it just wants to, it kind of wants to sag forward a little bit. But that's fine, we can sort that out. So you might want to strengthen the sides of this so that things don't sag too much. Right, so then what we're going to do is on the back, we're just going to add, it's going to be this way round. So you just want to add in your, you're going to have white panels on the back. In fact, we'll come to that in a minute. Let's deal with the front. So on the front, we want to use, I'm going to use this die cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stick that top bit, which is very fine. I'm just going to put a bit of red tape on there and stick it to the top there. So that sticks onto there like that. And just make sure that the edges don't, you know, veer off. If you wanted to, you could stick it, oh no, you're only going to really be able to stick it at the top. If you stick it at the bottom, it will stop the ability to be able to bend in the middle. And you want that because that's part of the look. So we're just going to add some tape along the top, and I think I will put some strengthening pieces in just on here, because I haven't got the I haven't got brain cells is what I haven't got. In fact, I'm going to do that before I put this in. I'm just going to stick some strengthening pieces in here. So I'm just going to need 2 pieces of, in fact 4 pieces that are, I'm going to go half an inch by 3 1/4. Half an inch by 3 1/4. I'm just going to stick those in underneath here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just underneath here, I've just added in some struts. You probably can't see them, but I've just added in some little struts. Now, the reason I think why I didn't have a problem with this on my prototype was because my prototype had this band on it, and I think that has helped it to stand up. So that's the other thing you could do, is you can add one of these on, and we're actually going to be doing that on the next card, so you'll see what I mean. So you could do that. I'm going to carry on and hope for the best with this one. I'm not going to put a strut in. I could put an acetate strut in, and then that would hold it, but I'm just going to try it and see, and hopefully it will hold up. The worst that will happen is it'll bend forward enough that this is going to touch the floor, but that's fine. So we're going to go ahead, take the backing off this tape here. Just going to fold the whole thing flat and get it so that it lines up nicely. Like that. And then, oops, I'm just going to stand it up. And actually that stands fine. So you can't really see it. I'm going to have to turn it around. So that's what it looks like from the front. So I'd actually think that looks fine, personally. So I'm pretty pleased with that. It does want to bring forward a little bit, and that's why it's a good job you've got struts here. You really do need a bit of strengthening in here. You could just make another frame to go on it if you wanted to. Yeah, there's lots of different things you can do. So that is bowing a little bit, but I can always add another strut if I want to, or yeah, I don't really want to put the bar across it because I feel like it's going to interfere with the design. So all we need to do now is add our greeting, and I've got a Christmas greeting, and I think I'm just going to put that on, let's have a look, where does it stand? I think I'm just going to put that along the bottom here. Okay, so there's your finished card. So as I said, when it stood up, it does bow a little bit. You see how here it's a little bit bowed. So you could put more strengtheners in those side pieces there. But it's pretty good. And then on the back here, we're just going to put a in fact, I'm just going to leave it on the bottom. I'm not going to put it on the top. Because I just think that's going to maybe upset things a bit more. So I'm going to put a piece of white here. Right, so I went ahead and cut myself out a 3 inch by 4 1/2 piece because I decided it was too big otherwise. Stamped a greeting, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick that onto there. Okay, so you've got your greeting on the back there, and then you've got your thing on the front, and it stands up relatively okay. If you have any problems with it standing up, just put your strut in. Okay, and then, you know, that will sort it out. But yeah, it doesn't really need anything else, I don't think. I think it's literally pretty much done. So that is the portrait version. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to do another video with the landscape version in. Otherwise, this is going to be a very, very long video. So that's the portrait version. Stay tuned, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Obviously subscribe first, then hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified of when the other version goes up, which is the landscape version. And it is very similar, it's just that I've got the bar across it, okay, across the front here. So yeah, and this folds flat obviously for a 5x7 envelope. So you just literally just fold it flat like that, and it'll fit in your envelope. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe, as I've always said. Hit the notification bell, leave a comment down below, and we will see you very soon. Bye.